Recording.
Stream. We should be getting both. Welcome, everyone. I want to say thank you so much for coming to our December 8th Q&A for living in the private. For people that don't know what we do for a living, we work really hard with helping people understand what it means to get the difference of public and private. And it's not too hard. It's more a believability thing, which is one of the reasons why we came out with the book. What does it mean to be an American? This book has really changed a big scope. There's a lot of people out there that, just FYI, people that want to give this book away to all their friends and family. We have an opportunity, $150. We will mail you 50 books, 50, not 15, 50. 50 for 150 bucks. It's a no profit deal, obviously, and it's ordering author copies so that people have the opportunity to send them out. Everybody that has read that book has said we did an outstanding job at delivering the information of what a state citizen is and helping people understand the laws that support it, and that we're not conspiracy theorists and we're not crazy, and that our country was completely founded on something different than we have today. And unfortunately, that's really kind of what's going on with a lot of different respects with what people are hearing online and hearing all day long, and they don't know what to believe. And quite frankly, I don't either. I do want to encourage you guys on a couple of things. Y'all know whenever I show people all the nasty stuff that's going on in the world, I always bring forward the understanding we've already won the game. And I've been saying this for 10 years publicly. This is something we've already won. This is something that has already been decided. And that's all we have to focus on. And also when you're hearing something on the internet, or you're hearing something live, or you're hearing something out there, I just want to encourage you, don't believe it. Just say maybe to yourself. That might be true. Don't like suck it in and take it to heart. And I really want you to hear what I'm saying right now, because it really helped me when I started thinking this way. And I literally don't have stress. For 10 years, I think there was only a 2 month period of time where I took on stress. And it was because there was something really important to me. And I could have handled it, but I was under demonic attack, in my opinion, as well. But I really went above and beyond in the last 15 years, repositioning my thought process to help me just vacate stress out of my life. Stress is a choice, fear is a choice. Those are things that we don't need to hold on to or grasp onto. So, as you're watching videos, there's a lot of videos out there that are very truthful. There's a lot of videos out there that are there for one purpose, to get you to agree upon. So, when you see it happen, you're already there in your mind, or that you're defeated and you will lay down and let it happen, or. And I want to just help people to remember some things, who they are and who these guys are. And these guys, yeah, there's just a few men in control of the world, whether it's 300 or 3,000, that's a few men. There's literally, I don't know, we don't know the true numbers, how many people are here on the earth, but um, there's billions of men, billions. And we got to stop thinking weak sauce. We got to stop thinking we're so little, like they got so much control. Countries are turned over right now on the daily, and we're hearing people that are, you know, coming back and hard against the regimes that are out there. They're having success. And it's only when the people are coming together. And this is really why they are clamping down on 2030, because they really want you to own nothing, and they want you to, I hate to admit it to you, you already own nothing, okay? Except for his advocates members who are following our process. You already own nothing. So if you're new to this and you don't understand a deed on your house, I hate to explain it to you. A legal description or something that is in your name or in a company name is not yours. And that's without a doubt. That's Your vesting is joint tenants. Okay. So you already own nothing. They've already got you to that point. They converted deeds a long time ago. They converted car titles a long time ago. They converted children and the titles to your children a long time ago. So there's a whole element about getting you to think that they have already won is now the marketing. And that's really what they're doing is they're marketing hard. And they want to get you to 2030 where you accept you're defeated and they have won. And I want to assure you something. If title to your family wasn't important, why'd they change it? Title to your vehicles wasn't important, why'd they change it? To your land, why did they change it? Let's talk about more important things. Title to your person, title to your DNA. I don't know if you know this, but the shots gave them a Supreme Court decision that if they synthetically change your DNA, it's called cDNA. 2016. It's already been determined that you are now property patentable by the shot company, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson& and Johnson, whoever they are that's doing the our DNA, whatever, the ones that are shifting your DNA. I want you to think about why are they going so hard against everything that belongs to us? And why are they doing it so nefariously? Because they have to. If this stuff were out in the open, like if chemtrails weren't such a conspiracy theory and, you know, these elements of what people are talking about, flat Earth, uh, a world beyond Antarctica, the North Pole being the land of Jesus. And if you don't understand some of this stuff, then you really just gotta, I'm not saying I'm pro all of that. But if you don't know what the land of Jesus is, you need to go to hisadvocates.org, register to be a free member, go to our videos, and look for in the search bar land of Jesus. They are hiding stuff from us on maps that are in the old in an area between Russia and Alaska. They've now pushed those two together and the land of Jesus gone. What is that? What does that mean? Well, let's just say for a second it means nothing. Then why are all the old maps pre 1700 showing this area called the land of Jesus? Don't know. I want to take a big boat and find out though. I want to take a big boat and go to Antarctica and find out. I want to go have some fun. It's not about getting sun. It's about exploring and finding the truth and being able to convey it to people, and find out what's really going on. Why are they keeping this important information from us? Like, what is so important about it? Well, obviously something that they would call it that they would hide it from us, that they would now turn it into snow, cover it with, ice on maps that we see, Google Earth, all ice pictures of. Do you know in Google Earth, and I've got this saved, by the way, there's holes the size of 2 to 3 miles that go into the earth in Antarctica that you could see from whatever it was that was projecting or taking the pictures of Google Earth? Did you know there was land mass the size of 1,000 square miles where you can see the buildings and the outlines right off the African coast and right off of the state of Atlanta and Florida, right in the waters? Did you know that this world is completely something that you have never realized? It's been changed, it's been doctored, it's been altered, it's been even in the early 1800s, guys, there was a place called Tartaria way back in the 17 and 18 early 1800s, wiped off the face of the earth. There was a thing called the mud floods where everything all over the earth was covered in mud. And people are trying to speculate, how did they do that in the early 1800s? Go look this up. These old churches that you think, like the pyramids and the churches with these designs saying that they chiseled out of marble and, spent and built in 2 years. Go look this up. Look this up. Look up Chicago World Fair. 200 buildings built in 2 years. And these buildings look like Roman castles. 200 of them. One of them is a glass building that was 60, 70 acres. Like it was huge. A glass building where the glass was bent and the structure and the building of this glass, like where were the people that the craftsmen that it would have taken to build 200 buildings in 2 years? What happened was is these buildings, what is being suggested is they were there before. And that the World Trade Fair was so big and so massive, and they couldn't get rid of all the pictures that they took of the World Trade Fair that's all over the earth. That they just had to cover up the fact that they built those buildings for the trade fair and then they tore them down after the trade fair. What happened is they tore them down and there was too much evidence and they had to say that this is what they did. They built those for the trade fair to house the people that were coming through, the millions and billions of people that were coming through in Chicago. And that year it happened. No, they're covering up what was here before. Listen, you can believe whatever you want. When you start investigating the truth about this world, it makes you start to understand that maybe the Bible is a little more accurate than a lot of our friends and family want to believe. Like giants on the earth, all over the Americas, they're finding them buried, giant skeletons. Yes, femurs, side the bigger than me, a femur bone, a leg bone, the upper leg part, femur, bigger than me. Think about that. I'm 6'4". Wow. Okay, now I'm 6'4". 6'3". I used to be 6'4". You know what I'm saying? Giants is in the Bible. Did you know they found, and just do what you will with this. Do what you will. A lot of people that have gone deep into the Grand Canyon, they disappear, their lives have changed, or they die mysteriously. There's one guy I followed for a long time, YouTube, Brother in Christ, love the guy, he's super awesome on YouTube. He used to watch all of his explorations and he would find all the caverns and different things, and then he found some stuff. Do you know that there's supposed to be like this cavern in the Grand Canyon, the size of 300 yards by 100 yards inside, and it's got tombs of pharaohs and solid gold and brass and everything all over this place, and it's been sealed off. Did you know? Do you know who owns and controls 90% of the Grand Canyon? I just want you to look that up, do your own research, because I'm forcing you to look something up by saying that. I can tell you the answer, it's easy, but I want you to go look it up. I want you to look up these conspiracies because when you start to realize that there's a different world structure than you ever thought, and in America maybe was founded differently than we thought, and the nefarious nature of how America was started. Yeah, it was founding fathers, Christian men fought for their beliefs. I just think too many people were coming to the table and they really needed something to give to them because they didn't have the control systems in place like they thought they did, and so they fought a revolutionary war, then they fought a civil war, and we just loved the idea of freedom. But the reality was you were never really free unless you invoked your freedom on the Declaration of Independence yourself. And then they did crazy stuff like made a marriage license where there is a Supreme Court ruling. The product of the union belongs to the state. That's what it says. If you have a marriage license, there's a Supreme Court ruling. The product of the union belongs to the state. So you start thinking about these things. It's like, why? Why are they doing that to us? Why are they making this out? Why are they making this so hard? Like, who are these people that are doing this? And why are we just laying down, letting it happen over and over? Well, I think we can do something about it. I think we can make a change. I think we have protections. I think first your protection has to be making sure your duck is in order. And that just doesn't mean spiritually, that means physically. God says come out of her for one reason, Revelations 18:4, so that you don't participate in the judgments. Why would you participate in the judgments? Because you are physically contributing towards the whore, which is enriching the beast system. So of course you're going to get judged, even though you're a believer. Of course. That's the same thing as somebody who is a believer and walks in. I mean, I'm telling you, if you read your word, unfortunately, most pastors are stopping at Revelations 5 and saying, we're raptured. We're raptured right here in Revelations 5. You see, you don't need to worry about 6 through 18. Don't worry about it, Christian. None of that applies to you. That's literally what I was taught. No, it all applies. I don't think there's a rapture like people think. Once you read and truly read and get your mind wrapped around, I'm not saying there's not a rapture, but I said very clearly, I don't think it's like what people think. I think that we are compelled to be integral in our lives, yes. But guys, you have to look at what you're spending your money on and what you're making your allegiance to. And once you start to understand that both sides are playing this game, and yeah, I was sold on being pro-Israel my whole life. Mm, mm, no, I am not pro-Zionist. I'm pro any race of people, any nationality of people. I am not pro all religions. I am pro the people. And I want to be very clear about that. I'm not pro religions that are oppressive on other people. And when you look at some of these faiths that are out there are many that oppress. And to be frank with you, many people think Christians are the worst. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. Now, I'm not to say that, there is got to be some accountability for us and for what we are spending our money on and the military industrial complex that went around the world. Ask yourself what's funding the CIA other than drug money. Ask yourself what's funding the FBI, what's funding the operations going around killing millions of innocents. Listen, you may not like what I'm about to say. I don't care. When you start to realize that just in one country alone, Iran, okay, they're next. All right. Millions will die. Iraq, 1.5 million innocents. That's public. That's probably not true. It's probably much higher. 500,000 kids bombed, gunned down, women, wives. Hey, I'm not saying they were all innocent, but there is 1.5 million women and children published dead due to our bombs. Why? Oh, because Saddam went to the Kurds and killed 5 million people using whatever anthrax, whatever he used, gives us the right to kill 1.5 million, to take over, to wipe out their regime, to institute our regime, to institute our central governments. People that come back from Iraq that fought in a war, they know what they fought for. They fought for the corporations to go reinstitute the electrical grid, to reinstitute the sewer grid, to reinstitute the building structure. Yes, our companies. hmm BlackRock, all those companies, what they do? They hired private mercenaries to do what? To protect them. Retired military guys. They used to be my clients. They would get paid 175,000 a year to do what? Walk around with a gun. And there were certain things that they had to do before they were able to pull the trigger. A, B, C, D, E. Go down that checklist. And before, it was really easy to pull the trigger. After a while, they got a little bit more strict, and they had to make sure they'd wait and do these certain things before they were able to pull the trigger. Guys, look, you have no idea what's going on in this world. Really, nobody does. And I think we all fail for a lack of knowledge. But the reality is, guys, I'm only saying all this to you because there's only one truth, and that is your God and your peace. And when you start to realize, even with what I'm saying, go validate and verify. Go validate and verify everything I've said today. Because there's a lot of conspiracy I threw out there. I'm admitting it. But I'm going to tell you right now, after you look deep into what I'm saying, you're going to go, oh my gosh. It all starts here. Sleight of hand. State citizenship, free under God, U.S. citizen, slave employee under a corporation, surety and the collateral for the debt of the world. State citizen, free under God, jurisdiction wanting, U.S. citizen, slave, debtor, collateral, surety. All the words the Bible says don't do. Don't ever be the surety, collateral for any other person or thing. That's God's word, not Kelvin's word. So when you look at just this one conspiracy fact that I have proven for the first time ever in the United States of America, obviously the Supreme Court was the first, but they sure hid the crap out of it. This is not hidden. Again, for the people just coming on, 50 books, $150. 50 books, $150. Pass them out to your friends like candy. Super important to understand what we have here. We have a catalyst that changes everything, gives people the inclination to actually start looking deeper into other things. Once this has been proven, oh, what doors open for you with God? What doors open for you with, what happened with chemtrails? Oh, that's just clouds. Yeah, that's just the jet. Yeah, it goes all the way across the sky. Wait a minute, it's spreading now. Oh, they're doing grid patterns? What the hell is that? Do you know when people tell me the grid patterns are just the exhaust of a jet and staying up there? I'm like, okay, that's like you getting out of a shower and it expanding and going out the bathroom door, out the front door, down the street, and covering your neighborhood. That's the equivalent of what jet steam is. It's hot water meeting air. It's the same principle. Okay? Produces a steam that will evaporate in the cool air. Period. It doesn't go wider and wider. Besides, all the farmers across this nation, they brought me their soil sample reports when I was 15 years ago on the road on a seminar tour. And the soil sample report was 1,800 times the normal levels of barium, aluminum, and strontium. Shut the front door. Oh, science. You want science. Science. Geoengineering.org. Science. You want to see the laws? That's what I went for. I went for the laws to prove chem spraying, and they're in every city, every county, every state, and every federal government across the world. You lost. It's real. So once those things start to become real for you, and it's happening, and you look up, there are things that we can do to counteract that. And that doesn't mean become violent, doesn't mean, but there are literally structures and systems and technologies coming out that are allowing for us to clean our air, clean our water, clean our food, clean it all. This is why there is a fight to get to 2030. Now, what is the one thing that they can do to control, really control the people? Hit the money. If you don't have cash, or if they make it illegal, or if they disband it, or if they take gold or silver off the table, or, what have you got? Back in 1929, I remember having a conversation with a guy who lived through that era. He was a little boy, and he was an old man when I was talking to him in the late 90s. Nice guy. He just said, Kelby, we didn't see we didn't see geoengineeringwatch.org. Thank you, Bill. Bill published it to everybody, not just me. Um, this guy said we didn't see the Great Depression. I'm like, dude, you were in this country? He's like, yeah. He said, yeah, we didn't see it. I said, why? He said, man, I was a 13 kids. We had a farm. We had neighbors with the farm. And I started realizing 80% of basically this nation was farmed and 20% was inner city. Now that's reversed. Not just reversed, what are they doing to the farmers? They're making them burn their crops, they're making them burn their chickens, making them burn their cows. This is not a joke. They're making them geoengineer their cows by vaccinating them. They're making them completely flip so that the people are not ready for the next one. And if there's no cash or if there's a collapse and everybody's, by the way, going to put their money into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be profitable for a few people. They're going to keep going long term and they're all going to get sucked in just like they did in 1929. And then they're going to smack it down and go, China, China, China. And then they're going to bring forth the monetary policy change and they're going to institute laws regarding crypto. And one of them is going to be illegal for you to own certain cryptos, just like they did in the past. Now, I'm not just now saying this. I've been saying this for a long time. I'm not trying to give myself kudos. I don't care. Dude, history repeats itself. You don't need to be a prophet. I don't need to be a technical analyst. I don't need to be all charts. No, that's not where I need to be. I just need to go, there's the history, and let's watch it repeat itself. Look at this, guys. Go look at the Genius Act. Okay. And then go look at what they did under Eisenhower pertaining to making it illegal to own gold. Go look at the precursor to making it illegal to own gold and the Genius Act. There is so much similarity in those that you're going to go, oh, this is trying to bring forth what would seem to be clarity pertaining to crypto. No, no. They're letting you know they're going to steal their stuff out of your hands. It's theirs, unless you've done something about it, unless you really understand public and private, unless you become a state citizen, unless you've developed a foundation under God, not a private trust. I know there's all kinds of guys out there saying all these various different things, and they sound very smart, and some of them really need to learn. It's almost like they had a single conversation with an attorney, had AI write the response, and then they do a video, and then they sell it for 5K, and then it's crazy. No, 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 no. When you get public versus private, and you start to really wrap your mind around that, and you understand a church and what belongs to God, everything becomes clear. You can't own anything, guys. I don't know if you know this, you're going to die. Okay. I know some of you think you're not going to die. It's okay. I know. I'm not going to perish spiritually. I'm going to carry on, but I'm not going to carry the safe with me. I'm not going to carry the car. I'm not going to bring the house. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to stand before God and He's going to say, what'd you do with all that? So let's stop making a pretense like we can control that or own that right now. Stop thinking we can pass it on to our children's children. Why don't we give it to God right now and develop a trust-like strategy within the foundation? Let the foundation always own, because you don't pass on and change title. Thus, you avoid capital gains, death tax, estate tax, inheritance tax, capital gains, all kinds of tax. And then you don't name a beneficiary who will get a 1099 and pay tax on what he benefits from. I think we need to get smarter and start thinking outside of the box. And I think, honestly, this is why God gave it to us. And this is why God instituted it within man's law. It's like you can't touch God's stuff. Not with the 10-foot pole. Remember in the Bible, they would go and hold on to the horns of the altar and nobody can touch them? Do you know that still exists today? If you run into a church, you have sovereign authority under the pastor or the priest, and they can't touch you if that priest says no. It's the same principle. It's the same thing. What belongs to God belongs to God. And if you're the fiduciary and you're doing a good job, you're going to be able to control things and pass it down and teach your kids right and respect and how to you can pass something down, generational wealth for the first time ever. Especially if you're transferring, because this is what most people teach. They don't teach the extras. They don't tell you about the car title. They don't tell you about the home titles. They don't tell you about your kids. They don't tell you about marriage. They don't tell you about all that. They just see you keep giving it up, keep getting these licenses, keep handing over titles. No, no more. His advocates. Once you understand state citizenship, the second thing you really need to wrap your mind around is public versus private. I'm going to write a book on it. It's so simple, but it's probably going to end up being a 50-page book saying the same thing about 50 different ways to help people. That is something that is really simple to learn. It took me a long time to figure it out. And when I finally got it, I'm like, oh my God, what they don't create, they don't know. Do you hear me? What they didn't create, they don't own. They created your birth certificate. They own the life equivalent. Remember, they created the marriage license. The product of the union belongs to the state. The child equivalent. They can't own the actual child itself. They think they do, but they can own the title to the child, which is everything. The live born record gets put on an abandonment certificate and put into the public. Nobody comes and makes a claim. Those are all things that we need to correct. And we are walking towards a major reset. And this is the scariest thing for the whole world. Guys, look, this is really the future of money. People say crypto's dead, crypto belongs to the devil. Look, I can go get a dollar bill right now and pull it out and show it to you and show you all the demonic signs that you carry around in your own wallet right now. I can show it to you. I can show you all the reasons why that dollar is a dead instrument. It's not real. It's not cash. It's basically dead. It's crypto. It's green crypto, pretty crypto. A dollar. Except the dollars are going away and they're going to institute this. It's done. It's not even a question. Listen, guys, CFTC, the CFTC just announced, I forget the name of the company. Somebody give me the name of the company, that they are promoting this company for all trades within the government, crypto. And this company is riding the back of Ripple, XRP, and going to use the stable coin in settlements. When I say it is done, for Ripple as being the chosen one. It is done. They're just keeping it on the down low so they can keep buying it up because it's running out on exchanges and they need to keep the valuations low. But there's going to come a time where they can't keep it low. And then they're going to say it's illegal to own right before it goes up through the roof. Then they're going to say you can go and sell it right now for this amount. And the people that are smart that have put it into a private foundation that put it onto something like this is supposed to be quantum computer proof. This is a Treasure Model 7. I'll keep you posted. By the way, 2 weeks, VIP members, Saturday from this Saturday, we're going to be doing a 3-hour training on crypto. And we'll have an hour of that will be Q&A, and we'll be doing a model of how to load up a device, and y'all got different devices. So we're going to be there to answer questions, a large portion of that. So 12 o'clock, Saturday, the 20th, 12 days from now. So for the VIP members, there's no cost. So this has never before been the right time for you to get your assets out of the world, your retirement. Yeah, if you can float your retirement into crypto, gold, silver, guns, ammo, food, right now, do it. Take the hit. Take the hit. And I've always said this to people, and people are like, I don't want to take a 20% hit. You already took a 50% hit. It was actually more like 100. You take a look at what is happening with gold and silver. I said this last week. I'm going to say it every week. Reiteration training 101. Gold does not change in value. Silver does not change in value. What is the price of silver today? Anybody know? Hold on. The same, 58. 22, gold's 42. Jeez. $4,200. I told you all to buy gold and silver a couple of years ago, last year. Look, by the way, if you want to buy gold and silver at cost, go to hisadvocates.org, click on products, click on gold and silver at cost, and set up your account. You can buy gold and silver at cost. If for me, I would mix it up. I'd buy definitely ISO coins, but if you're going to buy ISO coins, you want to make sure you get it onto a hard wallet purchased by a foundation or where the assets were donated. The hard wallet and the crypto were donated to the foundation, and you must have that dual witnessed and notarized prior to them making it illegal. Guys, look, this is never before been more important for you to get your crap together. Stop doing what you're doing. I'm telling you, next year we are going to change our prices. We have to. Gold has doubled its value, which means the dollar has gone down by 100% in value or 50%. So if gold has doubled its value, that means the equivalent of the dollar. If gold was $2,100, which it was a year and a half ago, that means the dollar has lost that equivalent amount of value, which means you're saying, I'm going to keep my money in my retirement accounts. You're losing value. Groceries are getting more. They want to do a reset on everything, including mortgages, including homes, including they want to make it so hard for you to live that you sell your home, that you lose your home, you lose your cars. That's how they're setting this up. This is not a light play. This is a major play. It's going down. But I want you to ask yourself, I want you to say to yourself, maybe. Because for yourself, you can control it because you have the knowledge now. And with knowledge comes power. Where is the power moves? You know what everybody's doing? Billionaires, I've been saying this over and over. Cash, crypto, gold, silver, hedging against the downward spiral. Like stocks called FAZ, FAZ. Look at what FAZ was in 2007 and look at what FAZ was in 2008 after the crash. I'm telling you, we're here. And in a month, 2 months, It's things have got to change. Things got to change for you. Things have got to change for us. We got to get smarter. We got to just dot our I's, cross our T's even more. We need to make sure that we are all ready for when this happens because a lot of y'all think that, hey, I'll just keep living my life on food stamps and whatever else. If you're here and you're on food stamps, you're not self-governed. If you're here and you're on Section 8 housing, you are not self-governed. And I can't believe people talk about that stuff when they're asking me, like, well, they say it's too expensive. You know what? You're right. It is too expensive. This is where you got to get things under control. Have you been saving? Have you been working? I get it. Somebody's disabled. But if you're a man and you have hands and you can work, there's never been a look, guys. I haven't even said anything about AI or the lack of jobs in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. I haven't even said anything about that. We do have a workaround, by the way. We do, but I haven't even said anything about that. I don't want to just completely take your breath from you, but those are realities. And if you don't figure out how to become something that is not dependent upon anything else, and where you create something that is exclusive, you're going to get wiped out. People will use a machine and or something a machine has created because the cost factors are going to be so much better before they use you. So you have to create something that is usable that a machine can't replace. And we're going to have those conversations. And you got to start thinking about that right now. And so getting control of your home, getting control of your status, getting control of your kids, getting control of how you do business, getting control of all these things now. And don't say I can handle this after Christmas. Stop it. You keep pushing things off, man. Oh, I'm going to do this next month, next year. You know what? When you hear it and it feels right and you know it and God's tapping you, that means go. Figure it out. You have to become free. You have to free what belongs to God. Now, stop pledging what belongs to God to man and be the fiduciary over it and say, God, look at what I've done. I didn't do all this for myself. I didn't buy all this for myself so I can pass it on to a brat. I bought it for you. I created kingdom work. I've got it under control. I want you to be blessed by my hands, Lord. Thank you. Look, until our minds shift completely and stop thinking the way man wants us to think, the way they've been programming us. I told you guys 7 years ago about a potential alien attack, and now aliens are all over the world. And I don't know if you watching or seeing what's happening all over the world. Some crazy crap is happening. Crazy crap. Like they are everywhere now on every station. Yes, it could be AI. Yes, it could be artificially created by the United States. It doesn't matter. I told you. And these are the things to which they will use to make you look up into the heavens and say, oh, wow, we are not special. We are not the only things here. Look, guys, call it whatever you want. I don't care. I'm telling you, it's going to take your eyes off God. And that's the purpose. And don't do it. We don't need to worry about things when we're believers. We know we have the hope that we've already won, right? Do you believe that? It's just crazy how these stories, like the master manipulator, Lucifer the liar. God, what a spin that guy can do. Holy crap. What a spin. Anyway, um, I don't feel that well, guys, tonight. I know I might sound different, but I've been plugged up for a few days with a head cold. I'm going to answer a few questions. I'm probably going to do another one of these on Thursday. I thank you for the opportunity to vent and try to motivate you and get you to come into the light and get you to see why it's so important to make decisions right now and not later, right now. Um, this is, I have friends that won't buy crypto and are exclusive on silver, smart dudes. And I have a tendency to agree, but if you can get something that goes through the roof and becomes worth 10, 20, 50,000 per coin, and it costs you $2, it's maybe worth a listen. And if you can get it and protect it and then split the asset off into other assets that are all working for God's work while you're here, you're done. You can just focus on ministry and not worry. You can focus on feeding and not worry. Yeah, you'll have to think through, but you know what? His Advocates is doing a lot of work to give us a platform. Like we've created a network called His Advocates TV. It's on every TV that's out there on your phones. Download His Advocates TV on your phone. We are going to be blowing that up in the next couple of months to the point where podcasters and it'll be a big thing. It will. His Advocates TV on your phones. Roku, Amazon Fire, Android TV, Apple TV, LG TV, Samsung TVs all have our app. And I'm proud. I'm proud of that. That's been the way that we did it is private. And if you understand what I mean by that, then you understand. Um, so we're working towards building private solutions for people, private media solutions, private uh, everything, every way that you do business, every way that you contract, everything private. Do they want to fight you? Sure, they want to fight everybody. But the bottom line, guys, I'm telling you right now, we're uh we're going. We're going the distance and we're going to be in the game until the very end. Let's get to some questions. If you have any questions, post them into the Q&A. You can write them down if you're on YouTube land. You can write them in there, and I'll get to them. I don't promise I'll get to everything. I'm a little tired. I've had like 3 or 4 consults today, and I'm feeling a little weak sauce right now. Hold on one second. Um, First question. Do I use my declaration of a self-supported humanitarian foundation to replace the Secretary of State Articles of Incorporation to improve my Apple app? No, no. I don't know what Secretary of State Articles of Incorporation, you want to take your declaration of a self-supported humanitarian foundation and give it to who? Secretary of State to prove what? To get your Apple app approved? I think what you're asking me, I'm sorry, is the Secretary of State is required to approve your Apple app for your foundation. No, it's not. If you're a VIP member, we have a letter for that. His Advocates is approved. We're not recorded with the Secretary of State, with Apple, with Android. And if they were to take us down, we'd be back up in a minute because they know the lawsuits that would happen. They understand they can't do that on a private entity. So if that answers your question. Um, Give me a second, guys. The questions are kind of all over the board. So I need a minute to find them all. Hey, Dave, would you post your question back in the queue? I couldn't find your email. I know you brought one in, but I couldn't find it. My apologies. I went looking for it 3 times now. I couldn't find it. So I don't know if it escaped or my eyes are not able to see it. I think both. Anyway, what kind of crypto wallet would you suggest? Well, I'm really loving the Trezor Model 7. I'm not going to say this is my absolute, but I go to Wallet Scrutiny. It's got a huge screen. This is supposed to be um proofed. against the supercomputers. I don't know if that's true. I'm gonna hope it is. I do know with, and this is what we're going to talk about at the event, why keys are exposed or not exposed. Not just how to get things to your devices, but we're going to talk about how to make sure your devices are protected. Okay. Buy consumer staple stocks. All right, let me go to the Q&A. I'm doing some shopping for telecommunication service providers, and I've noticed how much more cumbersome and restricted providers have been getting lately. What phone services providers does it use? Grasshopper and GoTo, and simply text. Do you remember off the top of your head what the legal code was regarding employers, companies discriminating against workers who submit forms other than the typical W-4? Or if not, where we may. John, what I would do is anybody, there's no requirement to fill out a certain form a certain way. Um, there is no law that prevents somebody from changing a document and or prescribed to a certain thing within a document. I do know that. I think what if I would do, I'd just go ask AI, even though you got to vet it, for any law that does not allow for somebody to make changes to a W-4. Start there. And we do have a few documents pertaining to that that I can look up for you. Next question. I'm ready to open up a trust about my car and retirement accounts into any members uh, that can help for a any members that can help for a donation. What do you mean? I'm ready to open up a trust about my car and my retirement accounts and any members that can help for a donation. Are you asking for a donation when you have a retirement and car? I don't understand. Lisa, help me out. Ronald, I have a question. All professional licenses must be sent in the name of the account holder or the holder's name. Can we send them to our UPS, post office box, and keep ourselves on solid ground, so to speak? So, Ronald, um, I always like banks require that they have a physical address that they can go to. I always, if that's the case, we open up the account with a physical address. Generally, it's something different than where they actually live. Um, and secondly, once the account is open, we move the address saying that we are now permanently moving, which is true, and that we will be needing it to forward to a UPS box. Whenever they say they can't do that, what we do is we create a letter that we notarize, and we say we are closing this address. We give them no explanation, and this is the only address we are able to accept mail in. And please stop sending mail to this home address. And then we just notarize that and send it. And they may or may not call. I've seen them call and we just ignore, and eventually it sticks. Pertaining to receiving mail at the box, just make sure it's in care of a foundation name as much as possible. I want to start putting everything into my foundation. Just ask. Uh, we should have given you a document that would have helped you do that. You will still need to do a deed. You may want to consider hiring us to do a deed for you, but if you're living in a private member, we will give you a deed template. You're going to want to get meets and bounds on your home, and everything else will be within the template, and you can just record the deed. Sometimes people have a problem with the template and they end up hiring us. We charge $4.95. We do need your help getting the meets and bounds, the research required, or you may have to, if it's not on an old deed where we can find the meets and bounds, you're gonna, if it were me, I'd do a title, or excuse me, do have a land surveyor come out and get you a copy of what that looks like. Then we can put that onto your deed. But a deed, your assets, your crypto, all that kind of stuff should be considered in putting it into your foundation. In previous VIP calls, I've stated that I'm buying a townhouse cash in Texas that sits on a lake. I've since successfully found the legal description down the block and lot number. Okay, subdivision, original deed. I learned the first ever own purchased my townhouse in 2022, land square feet, site name, and number. Please tell me if there's anything else I need to consider. I need a complete list ensuring I've got everything. By the way, my close friend is willing to be my buyer's agent. Okay, so remember when we talked about this, I know who this is. Remember that you don't have the meets and bounds because it's a townhouse, that you have a legal description. So it's one area that, you're never really going to own the land. You're going to own the home. And yes, it does matter how you hold the title. And so if you do the proper vesting, fee simple absolute, in Texas, they may look at that and say, well, you don't own the land, so how can you have fee simple absolute? I'm just making you think. They don't necessarily always make the equation between a legal description and meets and bounds, or make the distinction between, the vesting, the style of recordation on how you hold the title. And investing, guys, is everything. It's like a contract when you're buying a car. Are you leasing a contract? That's joint tenants. Or are you buying the car? That's, fee simple absolute, absolute tenure and title to the center of the earth. So they're not going to maybe make that distinction. So you're going to have everything properly vetted on the deed, except you're not going to hold the land because you're not going to be describing land. You're going to be describing air in a legal description. And so just know that, and know that you may get a legal description recorded with the vesting of fee simple absolute. That might work. It might happen, but it might not work. But there are other things that you can record in that are not joint tenants. Understand? And we'll help you with that when you're ready. It just depends on how they respond. But whatever you end up doing, if we do the deed for you, then it's easy. If you do the deed, just make sure we're checking it out before you submit it. Um, Second part to the question, my friend is willing to be the buyer agent. She knows nothing about living in the private. What should I mention to her to gracefully coach her into understanding what I need to tweak the deed in favor of the private foundation, just leaving it up in the air with a title company she's has connections to? So just prep her. Say, I've got an unrecorded private humanitarian foundation that's not registered with the Secretary of State. I need you to find a title company that is going to allow for me to record in that name and not be um and still have a title insurance policy. Now look, if that doesn't work and she can't produce a title company to record like that, record in any name and then grant deed it yourself. Once you've cleared title, you're good. You can grant it again on a secondary transaction or quick claim it immediately to your foundation. Now you know you have clear title. You're golden. You're never going to come and file a claim against title. You just want to make sure it's clear, free of all encumbrances, mechanics liens, title issues, IRS issues, whatever it may be from the previous holder. So your worst case scenario is you're going to record in a different name that is registered, like a birth certificate or a company, and then again, back to back, just put it immediately in the foundation name. To clarify, third part, that I own this house in the name of my foundation, but the plot of the land that my house sits on will always be owned by the Neighborhood Builders LLC company. If that's the way that your association is, that's the way that it is. But if you were somehow able to get meets and bounds and you were able to get a fee simple absolute grant deed recorded in the name of the foundation, You would be very special in that neighborhood, just FYI. Subject of marriage. Next question. What are your thoughts of ketubas? I have no idea. Are you familiar with them? No, but I'm gonna Google it. What is a ketubah? Jewish weddings. Extensive selection of modern and traditional. The morning is in Jewish. So, what's your thought with asking me that question, Sarah? In a previous life, you stated, fee simple absolute, those who contain this don't have to pay property taxes, correct? On topic of title and title transfer. How would I be able to access something like this to not have to pay property taxes while holding the allodial title? If you held a allodial title, you would never not be paying property taxes. To hold title in fee simple absolute would be the equivalent of holding a allodial title if the entirety of the deed was structured like one of our deeds. Um, and I think you should just keep watching my videos on title just so that you can get your mind wrapped around it because there's different spins of ways of getting things done according to people out there. One is patents, super strong, super strong. The other is a allodial title, and then there's fee simple absolute. If you are registering something, you are basically giving some, why do they call the recorder the registrar? Registrar. It's the same thing because you can record a registrar, register to the registrar. And if you're registering something to the registrar, they're able to monetize it. How do they monetize it? Well, you're giving something up. What are you giving up? Well, for the kid, when the child, taking a live born record, the title, and there's no dad's signature on it, and the mom's abandoning it, parent, judicially decreed guardian, informant who turns one over to the state. They put it on abandonment note paper and submit it to the county. So county then registers that to the registrar, to the bank, and they now monetize it. It's the same principle. So when you're talking about a allodial title, you're talking about something that's not registered. You're talking about something that's only recorded. So you have to have the instrument properly when you're recording the transaction. You're not ever going to own a townhouse. But like I said, if, I mean, I get it, you can own above the land and own the wood. And that's why they do a legal description, because that's what a legal description is. It's not the land. And the association owns the land. They own everything outside of the house. They're responsible for cleaning up the neighborhood. They're responsible for everything outdoors, the paint, the wood, all that stuff. Um, and so there's a board that is responsible for everything outside. And so it's really not your land. It's really not yours. But if somehow you were able to get meets and bounds, a land survey, which you don't have and you will not get, and you were able to record one of our deeds perfected into the county, you could theoretically be one of the first to own a townhouse to the center of the earth. And whatever that meets and bounds was, and whatever that recordation that allowed for you to be the effective owner agreed to by the county, nobody could dispute it. So I know you're not getting all your answers the way you want to get them, but your questions aren't flawless. Let's just say it that way. All right, next question. Mark, just put our personal house into a foundation today. Yay. Love hearing that. I have another rental property we will want to put in the foundation soon. Is there a process the same? Yeah. Should we start a second foundation to split them up? Doesn't matter. It matters, but not much. If you want to give one to one kid, give one to another, that they manage, oversee, because they don't get along, those kinds of things you want to think about. Each house currently in a separate trust, just has its own LLC, are all in one series LLC. Just checking for clarity. Should the new deeds look like 123 Example Street Trust, Trustees, wife and I, who are grantors, grant to our foundation the 123 Example Street property. Yes. Don't call it property, call it land. Make sure that we look at your deeds before you submit them, please. Do I get those deeds transferred over and then cancel, kill, revoke all the land trusts and LLCs? You know what's good about land trusts is they're predominantly private. A lot of times they're structured very well, but the problem is they're registered, most of them. And same with LLCs. So there's no control, so there's no forevers. Um, there's no reason to hold a land trust. You may want to use some of the verbiage to create a standard operating procedure to work within the foundation for children's purposes, but it's going to look a little different. There's no beneficial interest at the time of the death. You're just passing on rights to control the foundation. And therefore, you avoid transfer tax, beneficial interest tax, death tax, estate taxes, all that stuff. The VIP huddle we had on 11/11/25, it hasn't been posted yet, unfortunately. I know, I'm sorry. When should we be expecting that class to be posted to study from it next day or two? I, there's one thing that's hard to let go of is the control of his advocates TV and the control of posting media content. It's just not easy to let go of. I know a lot of people differ and disagree, and that's fine. I'm working on it. We're at the step where we need the oaths of office, and it's been a headache trying to get these the past 3 weeks. Is there a way that is that can provide the oaths for federal officer IRS? Just tell Alex you want to proceed forward without the oaths. Yes, we have some of those. Um, I want to move faster. What do I do? I submit my full application. Uh, just tell them, just post that to your ticket. I want to move fast. And we're doing a complete revamp, Brian, on everything to get people a lot of docs up front fast. And I'm doing a new um, schematic on the living in the private and with a couple choices and options. The level of Kevlar is very much similar. It's just we're letting go of some of the things that are bulletproof, important, but not to get freedom done. And I want people free and I want them done in 4 or 5 months. And so we're going to make that happen. Just say to our back office who want to get it done faster and tell them you want your IRS, your SSA, your voters, your DMV docs, and we'll get them to you. Got an IRS letter, 11/26. Immediately provide your employer with a new form W-4. The company I worked for was acquired. My old W-2 was just passed over. And it has more expectations than I'm allowed now, that I'm now allowed. Children moved out. How should I handle this? Bill, if you're private, you should do a W-4 that we give you, which makes you exempt. So ask the back office for it. If you are a state citizen, you're exempt. Thank you, David. I see your post. Kelvin, a very recent Q&A, someone asked about a currency exchange program his advocates was setting up. Currency exchange program. I don't know what you're talking about. He said it was ready, but not launched yet. I had not heard of it until that moment. Can you review the details on that, please? You talking about a cryptocurrency exchange platform? Yes, I'm still working on some things. I don't want to make it public. It is working. I am keeping it private for very specific reasons. And does that mean members can do crypto exchanges directly to his advocates? It will not be through his advocates, but it'll be through a controlled mechanism that we will help you with in a country called Belize or a branch of his advocates without using a platform. It will be a platform where we do not hold the money. We will charge an exchange rate and you can move currency from one entity to another exchange and with uh, complete privacy. We're still working on a couple bugs. Treasure 6 is still fine. Absolutely. You don't need to change to a seven. The element of a seven is the screen is much bigger, much supposedly much more user friendly, and it is quantum computer proof, supposedly. You said Grasshopper, go to, and simple texting for mass texting. I'm asking for help creating a trust, basically. You don't want to trust. You want a foundation and you want to create a trust-like environment controlling how the people operate the foundation. If you have a trust, there is a point to which the assets come out of the trust and go to the beneficial interest, or the beneficiaries are paid out based on what the assets are worth and the assets are sold, or there's 1,000 combinations. Either way, there's a taxable event. Either way, there's a capital gains. There's a ton of different things to consider. If you leave it in a foundation and you put a trust like or a standard operating procedure for what's going to happen upon XYZ, then the children can run the estate forever tax free. Okay. That's what I'm saying. I'm not a homeowner in the US. Just assets and car into my foundation. That's what I need help with. And yes, I am a VIP member. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Regarding cars, if you own it outright, I just tell people go to AAA and have them help you fill out the form and you can transfer directly into the foundation. When you sign it with your full name, put the word buy in front of your signature. And then at the end of your signature, put executive director and just follow the instructions. You're selling it to your foundation and they'll help you file it. And the assets, like whatever else you may have, gold, silver, or whatever, there's a document that we give you with the foundation that will allow for that to take place. Didn't know the answer, got the question from my old friend, Mr. Al. How many licks does it take to get three? Takes 3 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. One, two, very few people. You have to be at least 50 plus, maybe even 55 plus to know that. Uh, Ket Ubaz is marriage contracts used by the Jewish community for thousands of years, agreements signed by the families before the public declarations, aka Medine wedding ceremony. They are upheld in Israel despite whether on earth they are signed. Beautiful. Best if both fathers sign. The contract is biblically based, most of the time customized to look like written, or most are framed and hung in the home. That's awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Didn't know that. Lisa has her foundation. Get on it, girl. All right, let me look over here. Looks like I'm gonna nail it out for the week, and I don't need to come back on Thursday. Bo y'all. What does your YouTube channel default its notification status to none? And it doesn't allow me to change its notification status to personalized or all. Really? That's what you called shadow banned. So somebody is having an issue with changing the default notification from none to all or personalized. Okay, listen, Bright Beacon 1234. Can you do me a favor? Video or print screen details what you're going through, and then send it to Kelby at hisadvocates.org. Exactly what you're going through, so I can show I'm being shadow banned because that's a lawsuit. Um, Explain the preferred method between foundation and trust. I just use a foundation, and for the reasons I've already said, the trust they're good. They're just like a level 4 out of 5 Kevlar, meaning protection. They're bad for some elements of IRS issues at the time of disperse. So if you're going to be, if the trust is going to go to children and they have a disagreement for how the trust is to be utilized, or the trustee honors the trust and is making payments, they're all going to have a taxable event for the rest of their lives. Why not teach them how to operate within foundations, operate in the private, keep all income off the table, and allow for them to be 100% under God without any taxable events. So in a trust, um, they're penetrable in a lot of different cases if they're not held upright, especially if they're registered. Um, I can go on and on with issues with trust, but foundations, you won't find court cases regarding foundations. You won't find asset seizures on foundations. You won't find IRS issues on foundations that are private, unregistered, unrecorded like ours. And you can always create a trust-like environment, meaning instead of giving to a person that is going to make a deposit to their personal account, teach them to operate within a foundation structure and they can live in that foundation structure forever. And it is something you have to pass down. It is something that there is education, but there's education on a trust. And so let's educate our children and let's teach them how to give it to God right now and to live in that realm where they're private and not public. And maybe they have their own foundation to which, um, if at some time they're not getting along with each other and they're within one foundation, you can let them disperse that between two foundations and split the assets. And this way it's still tax free. We just don't want an event where they have a taxable event. Like if you die and it's in your name or an LLC's name or a trust name, there may be a capital gains, there may be a death tax, there may be an inheritance tax, there may be all kinds of stuff. How do you set up a foundation? Contact hisadvocates.org and we'll help you. Explain okay, I heard you have until the 16th to opt out of FB Meta and they will be able to use any info you have there. I deleted all my pictures on Facebook and all my conversations. I mean, didn't really have anything to worry about, but yeah, I don't like Meta, but Meta owns Instagram too. So think about it. Cold storage. I'm trying out Trezor Model 7. People that are interested in reading up on cold storage, great website called walletscrutiny.com. Walletscrutiny.com. Check it out. All right, guys, that's it. May God bless you. May God keep you. Um, Saturday prayer call tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. is advocates, VIP. We're gonna have a heart to heart, and we're gonna talk about accountability and crypto and what's about to take place. But we're gonna have a heart to heart. So look forward to seeing you guys 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank you for showing up and get the word out, guys. Look, $50, $150. Reach out, send me $150 and your address and the name you want them to go to. And we will get 50 of these books sent to you so that you can get this information out. If you've read this, you'll know why it's so important that people read it. God bless, guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will see you next Monday, 4 p.m. for the next Q&A. Have a great week.